Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR Halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Sunday, November 3rd, 5th day of CHESHVAN. Last reminder from me, we already told you in our previous halacha that the clocks switch Saturday night into standard time, so please note that because it changes all of the halachas for all of your davening times. Okay, but back to the unit that we were in the middle of, which is about making brachas in the right way. We had told you in our last halacha that you should always make a bracha immediately right before you, let's say, eat the food. Bracha, eat. And therefore, we have some halachic recommendations for different situations. For example, you want to make a borim mine mizonos on a wafer, okay? And it's in a package. So it wouldn't be appropriate to make the bracha ta Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam borim mine mizonos, and then say, this package is all stuck and everything. And then what are you going to spend the next 60 seconds fumbling with the package to open it? That's not right because the bracha should come immediately. So simple halacha I'm saying here is open packaging before you make the bracha so you can make the bracha and eat the food right away. Different situation now. You make a bracha on your super hot coffee, and then as your bracha finishes, you realize you could barely even sip that coffee because it's too hot. If that's the situation, you better let it cool down a little teeny bit before you make the bracha so that you can make the bracha and go right to sipping your coffee. If you're making a bracha on a certain food and you're going to want to put spices on it, so again, it wouldn't be appropriate to make the bracha, shakol ni'abidvaro, and then start pulling out the salt that you're going to put on your omelet and ketchup. I do ketchup. So you could take care of those thingies before, and then, so when you make the bracha and you finish shakol ni'abidvaro, you can go right into eating the omelet. If it's a shahakol on a milk bottle, milk carton, or whatever, and you say Bracha Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shakol ni'abidvaro, and then you open the bottle and you sniff it and you realize, uh-oh, it's all spoiled. Problem, right? So sniff the milk before you make the bracha on it. Now then we get to the question of fruit. If you want to make a bracha on a fruit, it would seem like a good idea to peel the fruit before so that you can get right to eating it, right? That's everything we're saying today. But the other problem is that it is beautiful always when you make a bracha to hold the whole item in your hand, because that's like making a bracha on the whole thing, which is kind of more beautiful. That's what we do on Shabbos, right? We hold the whole challah, and we only begin the slices after the bracha. So what do you do with the fruit? So some rabbis say if the fruit will remain whole, peel it. Just peel the whole fruit, hold the whole orange in your hand, and it's peeled, but it's still one whole orange. And then you make the bracha borei pri ha'etz, and then eat your piece. That's what a lot of rabbis say to do. Now, when you get to something like a steak, some actually say, I think Rabbi Yashav said this, that it's a good idea to have the whole steak sitting in front of you and make the bracha of shakol ni'abidvaro on the steak. And then cut right into it, but make the bracha while it's still whole, because that's the beauty of the whole piece of meat or the whole piece of something. But then, of course, our last detail for today is sometimes I like my steaks well done. And if your steak is well done, then after you make the bracha, slicing through that piece is going to take like a little bit of time because it's kind of crispy the way I like it. So in certain situations like that, then you might want to slice the piece of steak first, hold it in your fork or something, and say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shakol ni'abidvaro, and go right to biting the piece. Of course, some of you are making hamotzi before that meal. That's a whole other story. But do consider these things, and if there's a certain kind of food that I'm not mentioning or some situation that you get into every day, like I always buy a granola bar and, think all your situations out. Like you're not going to make a bracha in front of the vending machine and then start putting your money into the vending machine and wait for the thing to come out and find out that the machine's broken. That would be a real problem. So all your different situations, try to figure them out or ask a rabbi about your situation with the hot coffee that's too hot or whatever, and make sure that you can most often be able to do bracha, eat. And then consider also that whole items sometimes are supposed to be left whole. And ask your rabbis about all the different situations that might apply to you. Thanks for logging on, and happy Daylight Standard Time. And log on again tomorrow for more. Bye-bye.